All right, so my son and I are about to walk down to the creek, but I wanted to show a few things and give out a couple calls, give people props. You guys have been coming up with some really good ideas, asking really good questions. First and foremost, who was it? Papa Pump, you asked about mason jars. Oh no. There we go. Mason jars full of eggs. Originally, I had done that before. No good results. And then I did peanut butter. They eventually took the peanut butter after it was out here for months. Something did. Something got it off that tree. There's a few scratches on the lid, but you would think if something chewed through it to get it off, that could have been a possibility, that there would be pieces everywhere. Well, that didn't happen. I eventually, like a year later, the peanut butter jar showed back up again. Now, I almost didn't want to do the mason jar thing again because it's a human object and I'm trying to avoid that. And I'm avoiding human objects because I just want them to come to this area. And I just want them to come to this area so I can get the camera on them. And it'll be set pretty far back and it's thermal. And that's the whole point of doing this. But I thought, you know what? It's a see-through jar, so it can't be that ominous, right? So I figure, what the heck? I'll try it again. So good job. I redid the egg thing, my egg basket. Hopefully, I even put, safety is very important. So I gave them roller coaster lap belts to keep them safe in their little basket, if you can see that. That's until they get eaten, and then I'm sorry about your luck. But the other thing, the camera itself. When I was doing a live a couple days ago, me and Joe were doing a live, somebody mentioned night ride. Isn't that it? Yes, night ride cameras. Now, I had already looked at those cameras too, and I already kind of like the eggs. I was like, that's not really what I want to get. I was looking more for something like a security camera. But I went back after. I don't know who mentioned it on the live. I'm sorry. If you see this, please make a comment, because I really believe in giving people, props when they help out, or if they have a good idea or whatever else. People should get the credit for good ideas. I'm not necessarily about credit. I just want answers, and however we get there, and working together is the best way to do it. So I appreciate the input. But anyway, the night ride cameras, they actually have a smaller one called the Ranger, and it's made to mount on your vehicle. You can walk around with it on a GoPro mount, or you can put it on its own battery supply, like a battery pack, and set it out, and it will record indefinitely until the batteries run out. All that was good and all, but I still kind of wanted something I could use hooked up to the house, like a security camera. And I asked them about that, and they told me that they're not specifically made like that, but for like a little bit of an upcharge, they would go in and make it to where I could use a PoE, power over internet cable, with it. So I would be able to set it out and watch it online, which would be super cool. Now, I may actually go back and do that. But the fact that they were willing to do that the company was willing to go that extra mile, that was impressive. So I am hoping that this camera works out, and that I'll be able to use it and possibly some more of them in the future. But I wanted to give people props for the suggestions, the questions. Just because maybe it's not a good idea for what I'm doing at the time. I might revisit it later. Or like with the mason jar, I stopped and I rethought it. I'm like, well, you know what? I still have the nest out there to where they could still take from that. So even if they don't like the mason jar, they'll just leave it alone, right? But there's no harm in that, I don't think, seeing how it's glass. But we'll see. We'll talk about questions too that you guys asked. Now, one of the main questions I've been asked is, are you not afraid to bring these creatures in closer by leaving food out for them? I'm sure we've all heard the same stuff. We've all heard the same podcast and some of the same researchers that talk about leaving food out and how it's a bad idea. But the way I see it is kind of like these other things that are just considered gospel. Like with firearms. Personally, I mean, we've all heard, you can't have a gun with you, right? Or else these things won't come around. Well, that's been the exact opposite of what I've experienced. Seems like that doesn't make a difference. So the way I look at stuff like that is a lot of this information we get is just anecdotal. It may have happened to people on individual levels, but I think these creatures are individuals themselves, and they react differently to different situations. I'm not worried about it, and the reason why I'm not worried about it is, number one, they can't get any closer. I now know they've been on my back deck. Got the audio of them being on the back deck. Technically, where I'm leaving the food, it's actually further away than I've ever left it. I actually had a deer feeder that had corn in it for a couple years. So the corn thing's not new. The egg thing, technically, they can get to the coop whenever they want, and they can open the back of that coop up and grab as many eggs as they want. It's more about my intent. I want them to realize that I am giving something of mine to them, right? We're trying to gain trust. And I can pretty much do that indefinitely. But let's say the worst comes to worst and I quit leaving eggs or food out, and then they pitch a fit. Well, they pitch a fit. I mean, I will turn my backyard into Fallujah if I have to. I mean, I'm not going to put up with it, but I don't think it will come to that. I think these guys have it pretty good around here. They know that I know. I don't do anything to harm them. I don't chase after them. I don't throw things at them. I'm not scared of them. These other situations that we've heard about, I think, those were their situations. Some of the situations were things in which the people didn't even know they were dealing with Sasquatch on their property, so that has a lot to do with it. And they had absolutely no rapport at all. Now, I don't think they want to hang out with me on the weekends, but there's some type of mutual respect and probably mutual interest in one another. So, in short, I'm not worried about it, and there's only one way to find things out, and that's to do it yourself. All right, so I haven't even put out the videos from yesterday yet, showing how I redid the basket and everything. I'll include this with the videos from yesterday, I guess. Something's already taken it. I don't know how, if it is a animal they're finding them every time, and it got up. I guess raccoon or something could have crawled these vines, but I made it to where the animal would have to be. It couldn't be very heavy in order to accomplish climbing up here and getting them. I don't know, but hopefully for a week I won't be able to do anything, like I said, and then we'll have the camera up. The camera's actually coming today, so we'll see.